Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video day, and today the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Houston Astros 13-3, and I think beat is probably not a great word for it. I would say crush. This was just a show for the Rays in the seventh and eighth inning. This game was unbelievable. And the Astros look at this first six innings of this ball game. Legitimately had a great chance of winning this game, but 2-5 spots in the seventh and eighth inning really erase that. This bullpen has not looked bad many times this year, but to the point where their bullpen coming into the game today had the second best ERA in baseball. I'm sure that is definitely gotten worse. The ERA was 2.67 for the bullpen coming in today, and today the opponent, the Rays, scored 13 runs and only and 13 earned runs, and two of those earned runs were the starting pitcher. So that is tough. Most definitely tough for this Astros team today. But look, it's I hate to say this, but it's not the end of the world. Honestly, this happens to every team eventually in a 162 game season. Is this loss concerning? Sure, but if you saw them lose like this again tomorrow, or you saw back-to-back losses like this, or if you saw losses like this in the last couple games, I think it's something to be alarming. Like, for instance, when the Astros last year went to Kansas City and they just got blown out back-to-back games, it was terrible. You saw that a couple times last year where the Astros were just absolutely murdered last year a couple times in a row, or a couple times in a series. I think it happened twice when they went to New York. The Astros last year had some times where they got killed multiple times in multiple games, and honestly, you haven't really seen that this year. This is only the second time opponent of the Astros this year has scored double-digit runs. That's one thing I'm going to point out. And that was a game where you look at, and they just really haven't been blown out like this so far this season. You had that game where Lance McCullers Jr. in the first inning gave up 7 earned runs, and then Logan Van Wee came in and gave up 5 earned runs, and you saw the Astros lose 13-9, but the Astros, they were down 12-1 and then outscored the Reds in that game. They outscored them 8-1 in that game and only lost 13-9. So they really haven't had a loss like this year. Every team, good teams have losses like this. The Dodgers, who were probably the best super team in baseball, literally had a game at home this year against the Athletics where they lost 11-1. What happened like 2 games after that in that series? They won 19-2. I'm not saying that's going to happen with the Astros. I don't know if we're going to see an eruption after we saw the other night the Astros go crazy like they did against the A's, scoring 11 runs, but you see this happen in baseball in a 162 game season, long season. You see blowouts like this for even good teams. Look at the great years for the Astros when they were winning hundreds of games in a season. They still had losses. They still had losses that you're getting killed. Every now and then. Because if you win 100 games in the season, you're losing 62. You're down to have a couple of those where you look absolutely god-awful. So I'm not saying that excuses this terrible performance of this Astros team tonight, but I'm just saying this happens in a long season, and this hasn't happened so far for this team tonight where they get killed the way they did tonight. But yeah, 13-3 is final score, like I mentioned. 14 hits for the Rays, 8 for the Astros, 1 error for both teams. Win goes to Uka. I'm not going to say his name right. Ukeda, or Ukeda. I honestly don't know. 4-1 on the year now. You get 1 hit, 1 strikeout. He really got the win because of the Astros' terrible pitching, and that's Brian King. This is the crazy thing. Brian King came into the day with an ERA of 1.5. He leaves the day with a ERA of 3.38, giving up 5 earned runs and 5 hits, only getting 1 out in the 7th inning. That is not the Brian King we've seen this year. That really hurt the Astros today. I'm not going to trash him for his performance today because of how good he's been for this Astros team this year in the pen. So I just hope for a bounce back. If it turns into more struggling for Brian King, then maybe we should have a discussion. But let's look at all the positive things he's done this year. I mean, he came into that at a 1.5 ERA, and he's pitched some of the most baseball out of this bullpen. So let's just hope for a bounce back. If it continues to be an issue for King, it's an issue. All right. Scoring summary. Beginning of this game, it was all Rays. Sac fly for Yandy Diaz. Struck out swinging. Simpson scored on throwing error by Yainer Diaz. That really hurt the Astros. Camario RBI single 3-0. Then Yainer Diaz home run to center, 430 feet is 3-1. And here come the Astros. Dubon RBI single. Smith scored 3-2. Altuve home run. Here's what really hurt the Astros. This is something I think really hurt the Astros. They might have been able to win the game if this is the case. Now, in that fifth inning when they scored 2 runs, they had Isaac Paredes at the plate. And he had runners on the corners, 2 outs, and he crushed one to center. And it was an amazing catch by the center fielder on a line out. And this would have been able to score 1 run. And who would have been the next batter for the Astros? So that would have scored 1 run and tied the game for the Astros. Ultimately, Altuve's home run is what tied the game to start off that next inning, the 6th inning. Now, assuming Altuve does that in that 5th inning, that scores both because Dubon and Paredes would have been on base after Dubon. Sorry, let me say this again. Dubon would have scored off the Paredes single if that drops for the Astros and it's 3-3. Then Paredes and Pena would have been on base, and Altuve, if he's not batting in the 6th inning and batting in the 5th inning, he might hit a 3-run home run for the Astros like he did in that 6th inning to lead off, and then it makes it 6-3. And I don't know how the Astros bullpen. I don't know what the Astros bullpen looks like. Looks after that, because here's the thing: if King pitches better with a 3-run lead comparing to tie game, and he gets out of the 7th inning, you know who's to follow him. It's Brian Abreu and Josh Hader, and not Caleb Orr and Forrest Whitley, who gave up 5 earned runs. It's going to be Brian Abreu and Josh Hader following King. But that's assuming that King pitches better with a 3-run lead compared to a tie ball game, and there's no guaranteeing that. So I guess it doesn't really matter. But we saw the parade of runs for this Rays team in that 7th and 8th inning. Yandy Diaz RBI single, Rondo RBI double, scored 1. Camaro 3-run home run, made it 8-3. Camaro leaded off the 8th inning with or not lead off, but started the scoring in the 8th inning with a 2 RBI double. Then Meisner with the RBI double made it 12-3, 2 RBI double. Cabrera RBI double, 13-3, and that's it. Let's go Astros hitters real quick. Pena 2 for 4 today, double and single. Isak 0 for 4, 3 straight hitless games for Isak. That is tough to see him struggling. I'm going to predict a good game for him tomorrow. Altuve 1 for 3, hit a home run. Had Cesar Salazar, who pitched today. That sounds crazy. That's how crazy this game was today. He lined out to right in his second at-bat of the season. Victor Caratini went 0 for 3. Travis McCormick had 1 at-bat to replace him, fouled out to right. Jake Myers went 0 for 4, grounded out to shortstop 3 times of his 4 at-bats. Yainer Diaz went 2 for 4 today, a single and a home run. Cam Smith went 2 for 4, a hard line out the 3rd in the 9th inning. Great catch by third baseman Camario. Cam Smith could have easily had his his second 3-hit game of his career. Batting average is at 267 for Smith, and I think that batting average would probably be at 270 or higher if it was a hard hit ball in the ninth for Smith. I know it doesn't really matter. It's the 9th inning, you're down 13-3, but you see a rookie playing the way he is right now. It's really incredible at 22 years old. You hope he can keep it up. Zach DeZinzo 0 for 4. He did reach base off an error by Brandon Lau. And then 3 strikeouts after that. Dubon single for an RBI, his 11th of the year, and he ended up extending his hitting streak to 8 games. So that's nice. Gusto, 3 2/3, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. That's a really bad game for him. Bennett Sousa has pitched really well this year, and he pitched pretty well again today. 1 1/3, giving up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts. It wasn't amazing, but look, compared to everybody else outside of Ryan Gusto, it wasn't that bad. Steven Okert was the only relief pitcher for the Astros. If you do not include Cesar Salazar, to not give up an earned run, Salazar Okert had 2 strikeouts and looked really good for the Astros. In the 6th inning, then came King. We know what happened there. Then Ort finished the last 2 outs of the 7th inning for the Astros. Ort actually did a solid job to finish that 7th inning for the Astros, but then the 8th inning became a real problem. He gave up a bunch of walks and gave up 3 earned runs. Didn't give up any hits, but Ort also had 2 strikeouts. Whitley came on to finish the 8th inning for Ort, and that just turned into a worse problem. 3 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 1 strikeout for Whitley. Cesar Salazar has a career ERA of 0.0 now, and honestly, that very well could be the way that stays in his career, unless he gets another opportunity to potentially pitch, which I hope that doesn't. As long as he's on the Astros, I hope that doesn't happen, unless it is a game where the Astros. Usually, you're not going to see a position player pitch in a game where you're leading by a big margin. You're going to see that in a loss. So I hope, as long as Salazar's on the Astros, I hope he never pitches again. But he actually looked pretty good. This is his second straight. He did have a hit pitch. He did hit a batter. And this would have, if he doesn't hit the batter, it would have been 2 straight perfect innings for position players. Greg Kessinger had a perfect inning the last time the Astros had a position player, but no hits, no earned runs or walks given up for a position player through 7 strikes of 11 pitches. Outside of Steven Okert, he was the best guy in the bullpen today, and there were 4 other guys outside of him and Okert that came out of the bullpen today. That is a cool accomplishment by Salazar. But still, 13-3. We'll see if the Astros can bounce back tomorrow. I believe the Astros bouncing back tomorrow for 2 reasons. The Rays have had struggles against starting lefties in the past. Fromber's on the mound tomorrow. And Ryan Pepiot, their pitcher, who's going to be on the mound tomorrow, has had a lot of struggles against righties. And what does this team have full of with no Yordan Alvarez? A bunch of righties. So I think this offense can do damage tomorrow, and having Fromber behind you, I think that leads to success tomorrow, I'm predicting. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.